All right. Well, welcome to our audience. My name is Abby Utley, and I am your guest host today because we have a very special interviewee for the Roughneck Roundtable, the force behind all of Ryder Productions, artist, author, and all-around creative producer, Billy Ryder. Welcome.
Hi.
Obviously, we all are entranced by Billy's art on the page, her mesmerizing depictions of a limitless galaxy, and her tales of the badass Lone Ranger who picks up a certain saucy roughneck warrior to battle galactic injustice together. What a lot of people may not realize is that the hallmark of Ryder Productions is actually Billy's focus on inspiring others to explore their own stories through creativity and art. And many of the projects of Ranger Rider Productions center around celebrating and building a community of regular people who are ready to explore and express themselves through various forms of art. So today we are fortunate to be talking with the person who started that all and hear her inspirational story of her challenges and her determination that led to this creative epiphany. You see what I did there because that's a Ranger Rider
Oh
title.
yeah. What an awesome intro too. I couldn't do that myself.
Oh, good. Well, welcome, Billy Ryder, and thank you for sharing with us today.
Absolutely.
So, I guess our first question for you is, what is your origin story? Tell us where this whole journey began.
Oh boy. Well, it was kind of a rough one, to be honest. I ended up with a traumatic brain injury, which made me not be able to do anything, including even looking at light or sound or screen or anything. I was in tech before that. So I kind of like my life was just boom, blown up by it. So the one thing I've always loved to draw, but the one thing that I could do was use just a pen and paper and draw. That's all I could really do. I couldn't go on social media or news, which might be a good thing actually. And just so I was completely isolated. But what happened during that period of time when I was just the migraines are horrendous and I'm having struggling to try and figure out what to do, the story kind of came to life from my pen on its own. And the character, obviously, you can probably tell I'm living vicariously through Ranger Rider. I have adventures and sink myself into a completely different world instead of being trapped in my injured body at the time and just isolated the way I was. And what happened is I was in so much pain. Suddenly, this character, which is actually Dexter Roughneck, is the one that reached out. In the picture, I depicted as Ranger Ryder and grabbing her hand, pulling her out of this pit of despair, if you will. So what it did is it morphed into the original first volume one epiphany, where the character was actually submerged into this horrific inner world that she didn't know wasn't real, with monsters and whatnot. And Dex, the roughneck, has to save her. But the story behind the story is that's kind of really what happened. It was the creativity and the stories and the characters which came alive for me that let me pull through it all because I didn't know what I was going to be on the other side. So strangely enough, it's kind of opened up a whole new avenue for my life. I may not be in corporate America, doing my career and all the tech stuff, but instead I'm able to expand my art. I've always loved the art. I was going to be a graphic designer originally, but then tech came along and I was woohoo because I actually love tech too. It's just interesting. It's always changing, so I don't get bored. But the point being that it really saved my ass. And from there, I was writing and writing, and my sister and my mom are artists too. So it was just pouring out of me. And finally, one day, I was like, I had these big stacks. I still have the stack of notebooks this big, which all the pictures in it. And I ripped out all these pictures and laid it all on the floor. And I texted my sister. I click, click, click. Is this normal? Because I only did this within the last 3 days. It was like so just gushing out of me. Thank God though, because I could be completely somewhere else, creative and wonderful, and live my life through the character and with this whole experience. So I realized, you know what? Trying to find out with everybody's had some horrific experience or something that just they didn't know why it happened. But that whole thing about superheroes is what's your origin story? Like something horrible usually happened to the superhero, right? And they would suddenly have, bit by a radioactive spider, they turn into Spider-Man, and all these different stories. And it's like, so now I started thinking, what is the superpower that emerges from these horrific events in your life? So you shift your focus and you're looking at, well, what did this do for me? Like, to be honest, if someone said something good would come out of it right when I was at the very beginning in total agony, you probably wanted to bitch slap them. But at this point in my life, after being in it, and I've been in for about a year and a half now, and it's slowly recovering. I couldn't speak properly in the beginning. I've gotten my ability to speak back now. And so that was frustrating too, because I couldn't express myself verbally the way I used to. So the drawing was just what I could do. And I realized that in each of these disasters, there's something else. And if you're looking for or if it becomes your origin story and the story within is actually revealing your strengths to you, it can take you a different direction than if you just despair. That was long, but that's pretty much it.
I think there are a lot of people who, even if they'd been that prolific with art and stories while they were kind of recovering, I'm not sure they would have taken the next step to not only publish but also create this whole beautiful enterprise that you've made. Can you tell us a little bit about your shift to make
Yeah, well,
this
I just can't stop. I created a production company called Ryder Productions, and under it is there's a blog, there's a podcast, and there's like this video. I started an author tube and kicked off all this stuff because it all intertwined. And you do one thing, it kind of leads you to the next and to the next and the next, and the whole it lit me up, to be honest. It was suddenly I felt like I really had a purpose to help the world. And as fun as you know, I worked for Starbucks the last before this all happened too in Starbucks Tech. But as much as creating awesome programs that help sell coffee is this hit a whole different chord inside me. It hit like, oh my God, maybe this actually could have happened for a reason. Maybe there's some kind of sense behind what I thought was just pure madness. I've always been super scientific, right? I always had to have proof. But the world of creativity and the world in general has so many layers to it that we don't comprehend that it's endlessly fascinating. And I know from my family side of the artists that I really needed to take a real hard look again at what they've been doing because I was so, tech, and scientific. I didn't appreciate fully the measure of creativity they have. And now when I visit with my family and we talk stuff, I'm like, wow, was I really so blind? I was just so, just strict. Didn't look around, didn't smell the roses. I've always kind of been like that. I was just like boom, 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 overachiever type. And then where are you going to? And to me, this feels like it's opened a huge area of existence that I didn't have before. So it's actually, I don't want to, make a mistake and say it's the best thing that ever happened to me because I would never want anyone to go through the horror of what happened to me. But it truly kicked my life into a different trajectory. And the whole Ryder Productions is based around that. What can come of this? How can it expand? And I have so many stories. I'm on 7 and 8. You've gotten up to 5. You've done the audiobook for 5. And I'm like, oh no, she's catching up with me. I have 6 out there. After that, I haven't gotten all the words for 7 yet. And
Get
I'm on
cracking,
7
Billy.
and then I'm jumping to 8 almost because the funny thing is the stories emerge from the page. I don't really know what order they'll emerge in, or I kind of have to let the characters tell me as I go. And sometimes it's the scene, oh yeah, that happens after that and that. It's like almost a mosaic or a jigsaw puzzle that's coming to life in front of my eyes. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
Yeah, no, I think that's amazing. I'm thrilled to see you take to not only just be the author, but to open this whole enterprise for other people and learning and training and helping them open up. I think that's awesome.
and getting to work with you was a surprise because I went through a class saying how do you publish your stuff online, and I didn't even think that you could turn a graphic novel into an audiobook. I'm like, what? It's a comic book. It's basically, a glorified comic, it's graphic novel. I love how that sounds. But then I got to thinking, and you helped me just like flesh out certain areas in the story so that it could be presented in that format. And now I just listen to you, so I'm cracking up. Oh my God. I'm just like, oh my God, she's like, that's Dex. She's got it, right?
It
So I
cracks me
love
up
it.
too. Yeah, it
Yeah,
works.
it's
I think
great.
it's working really well.
So I got to
That's
realize
awesome.
you don't have to know everything up front. It kind of opens up as you go. Like the story is doing, like that's what happened with Fringe Writer Productions. Is oh yeah, there's this. I could do that too, and that too, and I want to tie it all together under this whole concept. So
Well, talk to me a little bit more about your books and your artwork. How are you told me a little bit about where your original characters came from, Ryder and Dex, but
yeah.
tell me a little bit more about how you developed this amazing art style, especially since you don't have any formal training.
Well, I just drew since I was like 5, but that's not formal
Oh,
training. You know? But actually, it started out as just black and white sketches, and it's funny because the very first book is way rougher in the way the drawings are than where I'm at now. It's like evolving so rapidly. I'm like, do I need to go back and do the other books over again to match
mm,
almost? But it started out just rough sketches, and then as I got to the point where I could actually be on a screen, like here with you again, I have these special glasses that help too. That's why they're blue for screens. I started to use a program to fill them out. So I pull in the drawings I'd done and I started filling them out. And then I was like, wow, this is really cool. So I went through a couple different programs, different styles. I'm using Procreate now that have the ability to, like, you can do watercolor, you can do ink, you can do everything. I used to do those for real and solids, like actual watercolors. But this is like, look, you don't spill the paint anywhere for one thing. So it really just evolved, and it's evolved more and more and more so that they're becoming more and more real. And I like, maybe I shouldn't get them too real. It's not like they're real people, but they also are in this wild, creative place. So I'm feeling it out as I go, really. It just sort of developed on its own. And then as I get more and more intensely into it, I start, I have a picture and then we'll go back to it like 5 or 10 times, improve here, improve there until I finally get, yeah, okay, it's good enough. I have to stop.
I,
That's a good enough, because otherwise I won't get to the next book. So if you look at the volume one and you get all the way to the other volume, you'll notice that there's a difference in style. Just it's going to become more complicated, more complex. And
mm,
I love just play. I use the characters. I wouldn't call them puppets, but I can take the character and put them into backgrounds, and it just stirs my imagination to do that. So it's just I don't really know how to explain it very well, but it just evolved on its own, really.
your backgrounds are one of the most mesmerizing parts of the book, I think. They're
Yeah.
beautiful to see that.
Well, I have to give other artists some of that. Basically, there's this site where you collaborate with artists and you are a member, so you're a pro member. I really believe strongly in every artist needs to be paid for what they do, and nothing should be, with everything going on with AI, it can be really kludgy. So gives you the ability for there's some artists out there that have backgrounds they put up, and if you download it, they get paid from all the different memberships. So what I do is I get inspiration off of that. And some of them like, oh, what would a purple alien landscape look like? Oh, I'll see what they're doing. And they'll have these amazing landscapes there. And what I do is I usually take pieces, like you would a collage, I download, they're getting paid absolutely for anything that I used any part of. And I take pieces of it like you would, like if you found a really cool material for the shirt you want to make. It's like, ooh, I can mix that with that. And so it kind of becomes this evolution of what it was into something else. So some of you wouldn't recognize it at all. So there's some other artists' strength behind what I'm doing as well. And yeah, I make I think it's amazing that people can do that. There's AI artists now who are utilize language in such a way that AI can generate images well. So they have AI art there, but it's associated to the person that was able to generate it. Like someone said, build me a wagon, and it'll generate one thing. And this other person comes and build me a old Western wagon with big wheels and it going through the whole explanation, it'll come something different. So they do those things and they're getting more and more amazing. So those I can also use some of that as from their art as well. But my characters, I love drawing the characters. They're 100% from me. And there's these amazing, alien landscapes and stuff that I then either some of them I do myself, but a lot of them are just mixed together and then blended. And I do like there's all these styles I can put over the top, which I find just fascinating. And I love that process. And I'm so eager to get the characters into these different places, right? So it's really it's a collaboration in that regard. So characters are moving through these scenes that are collaboration scenes, some fully mine, some part others, some of them just blended. And it kind of just, I look there for inspiration for where I'm putting them, like what planet they're on or inside a spaceship or that and the other. So I don't know if other people do it that way, but it just kind of happened that way with me. So
I think it's unique and it's beautiful. Do you have a project that you're most proud of?
oh gosh, honestly, I have to say that, well, I love doing interviews. I've always loved being able to just talk with someone and just naturally do this. This is a lot of fun. But for me, the most impact was doing that first one, which was actually my story in disguise of a sci-fi, because I was literally hanging on by my fingernails. I mean, for it to have gotten me through that kind of inspired everything else that I'm working to do. So I have to say that Ranger Ryder and the Roughneck, those two characters, and me living in that environment through Ranger Ryder, but Dex the Roughneck is kind of the real hero because that's the one that gets her through everything.
Mhm.
So those are my favorites, and they'll just keep living on through different stories. That's really my favorite. It's like,
Okay, but I got to ask you one more question
uh,
because inquiring minds want to know. In the first book, in Epiphany, Ryder seems kind of into Dex.
she's a little taken,
Is
but
that
she'll
going to
not
go
admit it.
anywhere?
Hell, she won't admit it.
She
Oh,
won't admit it.
oh no,
Okay.
no. She's
Okay.
so embarrassed when Bert said something.
That's right.
Like, no.
That's
But
right.
really, I mean, there's this swashbuckling, you know, outlaw that saved her life. It's a, with a, amazing smile and twinkle of mischief in their eyes. It's really hard not to fall for someone like that.
What's not
But
to
it's just, and
love?
also
Right.
most major stories, I didn't logically think through it, but there's always like this spark. There's this tension, they call it, between the characters that you could go somewhere. Is it going to go somewhere? I don't know. So I just let them tell me when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen. In the
They play
meantime,
it play off each other real
yeah, they
well.
play off each other. That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. Let's tell me a little bit about the skills that you're bringing to this and your processes. I know that you definitely came from the tech world.
Yeah.
So what are some of the skills? Does any of that transfer over to the creative process?
I think that I actually had already transferred the creative process into tech because what I
Oh,
did is I became known with coming up with creating new solutions for things, for projects. And one of them called me the Visio Queen because I love graphics and visuals. And I would create, somebody would explain something to me, and I would create a whole diagram with a flow of exactly where everything went, and we could build systems off of that. So it's almost in reverse. And then I used technology as what I was utilizing for it. But now that I look back on it, it's like really kind of using technology as a form of art almost. Because I was so proud that people, oh, they can't figure out, yeah, Leica, she'll figure it out. And I was like, and Leica, it's just so you know, is my tech name, and Billy Ryder is my author name. And really who I think of myself now is a real identity. Every author has their name, and you gotta admit, Billy Ryder's pretty cool. So and I don't want to confuse people with, I have this huge LinkedIn profile with years of experience and working for all the major companies and, AT&T and Starbucks and all these ones doing that work. But I like to say I was pretty good at it. I'm not going to go back in the same capacity, but I believe that it was always kind of a blend of the artistic and tech. And I love tech, and the whole AI thing just has always fascinated me. That was going to be my next move, is into an AI division to understand what it was, because I'm fascinated with how people get programmed by themselves, by other people. And now there's this AI, thing going on. So it's all following a lot of the pathways that people have used before AI to program themselves accidentally or on purpose. And so I'm just very fascinated with that too. So it's kind of always been a blend. And now that I'm slowly being able to do some of the work, like some of the stuff that I know hasn't come back to me yet, but I think it will. It's like you have these blank spots when you have that kind of a brain injury. And it's like, I knew that. I knew that before. It will come back to me. It's like when it has to
Mhm.
do with tech and that kind of stuff. And so I think it's always going to be a process. But the creative aspect is the human aspect to me, anyway. And I think that's actually kind of that part of the tech world is where I lived, because they're always creating new things. Then I would create a system, then I'd automate it, and then I'd have to move on because I made myself obsolete. So I'd have to get create another system to automate, But I just love the whole process. You call it building the plane while you're flying it almost. That's what they say, when we don't really know how it's going to work yet, but we're already launched and we're going. So that's kind of Bring to Writer Productions right there in a
Yeah.
nutshell. So.
Yeah. It's working out well. Do you care to talk just a little bit more about how how your Ranger Rider evolution is sort of going along with your healing journey? And do you have any advice for people who are watching who may be
Well,
going through similar challenges?
yeah, the biggest thing is, and I'm stealing this blatantly from Tony Robbins, who's one of my favorites, is reframing, which is what he talks about. And
Mm.
obviously not not my invention, but I totally focus on that, which is the whole thing where you will go through this horrific event, and what happens is you're so down in your energy, and you look at that and you just can't get your way out. And if you can find a way to reframe it, like what happened to me has now made this insane explosion of creativity and possibly being able to help other people look at things a different way. it changes how you look at something, which changes your state, which changes your ability to do different things with it. And I've been so trapped. I couldn't see 6 inches ahead of me through that. I didn't know if I had a future. I was felt like dead weight. And then I also got involved with some of the groups for traumatic brain injury, and I understood that they were all feeling the same way, and every single one of them felt completely alone and helpless. And if there's something out there that can stir the pot where people start to think, well, is there something else, some other gift that could come of this? And it could, and he says that life is working for you, because that's his thing. And I wouldn't have been able to, when I was in so much pain, I couldn't focus like that. I was just thrashing around, right? But slowly and gradually started to keep, I'm doing some of his stuff right now. I keep trying to focus on that. And as shifts happen, as you start to shift happens, finally I'm in a place now where now I see it from a different level. But when you're in it, it is really difficult. And when you're so alone, there's some people out there that are really trying to help, and create these little groups for people to at least just be there with each other. And that's really what it is find support. And if I could just stir interest in, my idea is I'm creating a program where people find out their own inner superhero, and I have just started up doing that now, so it's a venture in progress. But they can go in there and say which thing they're struggling with, and then it could generate. Well, you may have a latent superpower, because the other things I want it to be fun. I've always loved comic books and superheroes. I guess that's a stereotype for techies, right? But I have a Yoda doll in the other room. But I've always loved it, superheroes. And there's always that inspiration. It's usually an underdog thing, right? So if you
Right.
can start to look at yourself as the superhero in an underdog story, you can start to realize that maybe I do have a superpower. Maybe this has uncovered something I didn't know existed inside of me that I can use for a better life. And for me, that's what I want to do, is find a way to reach people in an exciting, humorous way. There's a huge audience out there that loves graphic novels, that loves science fiction, that loves superheroes. And if I can blend that together, it would make it into more of a fun journey to discover these things. And, I'm going in for a self-help class now. I mean, Tony makes everything fun, but it's like him. So, yeah, that's kind of what I want to do with this. And it's continuing to explode and grow. And that's just, my future suddenly is limitless, where before I didn't think I had a future. So that's really where I am right now. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Well, wait, where do you see the future? What are some of the possibilities? What's
Oh
the future
gosh.
vision?
Um, Ultimately, and again, being in tech, I went and I tested out this Apple headset they have, which is like an Oculus Quest, where you get it's immersed in a 3D environment. And the technology is so crazy good now, it's insane. I would love to find the right tools to be able to create a 3D environment, to have people come and be in a 3D environment and create their superheroes. And I don't know how that's going to work
Cool.
yet, but this is my vision for the future, where you actually have people get together and create their superheroes together and it's amazing when you get into the environment. You can move things, you can manipulate them. It's wild, and it's so much fun. I can't quite do that yet, because with the head thing, I used to do Oculus Quest exercises, because they were never boring, bang, 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 you're punching at things and things are flying at you. But I can't get back into that yet. I hope the brain will allow me to later, because of the disorientation with what happened to my head. But I did go, and I managed to get through like 15 minutes on that thing, because I was dying to see what it could do. And what I want to do is create this studio that lives in the ethos that people can visit and do their stuff in. And that's what I want to do. That's why I want to combine technology with the art too, is to make it almost tactile. So you can see it, you can hear it. And pretty soon it's going to be where you can touch things, feel things, but that's not there yet. But I just would love to, then you can work with people all over the world who have amazing ideas and be like in the same room with them. So that's my way up here eventually thing I want to do. So,
That's amazing. The
yeah.
world building and the people building would
Yeah,
be
it's a combination
phenomenal.
of, and to make AI be a healing force too, not be something to be scared of, not to be something that's this, because it's taken the world by storm. And knowing the underpinnings of it, I can see all these different things happening. And there are people that are scared of it. Everything's in turmoil and changing and upside down. I want to find a way to channel it, to be something really good for humanity, not something that scares people or takes their jobs. And there's so many, you can really apply it. The person that applies it is where it goes, I think.
That's a good point.
So,
Yeah.
like many, many things. So anyway, that's what I envision, and I'm sure I'll have new ideas as I go. So it's kind of like everything is coming my way in that regard, creatively speaking. So
Yes, I from everything I've seen, you are a force to be reckoned with in terms of creativity. You've got fantastic ideas.
that's good.
So thank you very much, Billy Ryder. Do you have any final words you want to share?
Oh, just thank you for interviewing me because really the stuff I'm saying now just kind of like emerges while I'm talking to you, and then I have aha moments when I'm doing this. When you're interviewing me, oh yeah, this, oh yeah, that. I was like, that is what I want to do. So it's just the whole thing is really exciting. I appreciate you taking the time to interview me on my show. So thanks a lot.
Absolutely. It's a story to be heard. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.